Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new MMOFTW. Now I realize there hasn't been an update in a couple of weeks, but with Gamescom going on, SOE Live, plans for PAX, it's just been crazy hectic. Plus, it's the end of summer, so my family always wants to do stuff, you know how it goes. Anyway, we are doing a brand new type of thing this week. We're going to just go ahead and give you our Gamescom 2014 awards, and then next weekend, while we're at PAX, we're going to do a recording from the PAX show floor and sort of put up a what we've seen from PAX for next week's MMOFTW. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there and coming back, even though it's been a couple weeks since we had an update. So let's get right to it. The Gamescom 2014 Awards by MMORPG.com. The Rising Star Award goes to BioWare and EA's Shadow Realms. BioWare teased an announcement for weeks before Gamescom with haunting videos hinting at a modern fantasy IP. The game turned out to be Shadow Realms, an episodically delivered RPG where the core experience revolves around 4 heroes fighting against a player-controlled Shadow Lord. We managed to go hands-on with that early taste of action-style combat, leaving us hungry for more. Even so, the Austin-based studio still has much to prove, such as the lore-laden wrapper that promises to keep us hooked month after month, and the myriad abilities and combat styles that are said to encourage replayability. At this early stage, though, consider us deeply intrigued. And the best hybrid MMO goes to Bungie's Destiny. Gamescom 2014 was all about the moon for Destiny. Only available for a few short hours originally, press were treated to the chance to give it for a go for themselves. Not only that, but we were also treated to an impromptu guide and discussion on the mobile app, which is, for perhaps the first time in gaming history, actually useful. It has everything from armory-like tools to customize characters in real time to community tools to aid in making Destiny real-life compatible. From the exciting, action-packed gameplay and the passionate developers, to the amazing tools that the companion app provides, Destiny was one of the highlights of Gamescom. Due out in just a couple of short weeks, we're still holding out hope that Bungie's will release Destiny on the PC eventually, but we're not holding our breath. Who are we kidding? And most anticipated goes to Behavior Interactive's Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade. We've been closely watching the Twitch streams every week and have seen the excitement for Warhammer 40,000 Eternal Crusade grow. Though they weren't quite ready to unleash the press on the game, I hear we are getting hands-on at PAX Prime, we did get some intimate time with studio heads Miguel Cologne, the man in charge of Behavior Interactive's online studio. His excitement was infectious, his knowledge of the lore was vast, and throughout it, all of his dedication to the authenticity of the Warhammer universe shined through. We got a crash course in the dark and miserable world that is 40k. We learned a little bit more about their plans for voiceover and technology integration such as Razer comms and the Nabu experience on your wrist. But perhaps more importantly than anything else, we found ourselves wanting to learn more. We cannot wait until Warhammer comes out and Eternal Crusade gives us something to actually play and look at beyond really early alpha footage, but we're just going to have to hold our breath a little bit longer. And most innovative this year goes to not a game, but the actual Oculus Rift from Oculus VR. This probably sounds unusual, but hear us out. While there were many online games doing new and interesting things, none of them really stood out as innovative, offering completely new concepts that we'd never seen before. The closest to it, such as the interesting Eve Valkyrie and unusual World of Diving, all had one thing in common: the Oculus Rift. This singular piece of new hardware now looks set to kickstart more fresh online experiences than any other development of recent years, if early adopter feedback is to be believed. That said, with a rumored street date of mid-2015, it's likely to be some time before the final consumer version ends up in our eager hands. But just picture playing something like Elder Scrolls Skyrim with the Oculus Rift to, just fathom that for a minute. Imagine an MMO built entirely around this and ready for sort of that first-person experience in the world. It's going to be good. If, all things considered, it actually happens. And the best RPG goes to none other than The Witcher 3 from CD Projekt Red. Throughout 2014, 2 heavyweight RPGs have been jostling for dominance of both our attention and our wallets. On the one hand is Dragon Age Inquisition, due out later this year, the 3rd installment in BioWare's high fantasy saga. For us, though, The Witcher 3 nudged ahead, beginning with the breathtaking and expansive open world rendered in the Red Engine 3. Combat also felt more natural, with far fewer pauses and interruptions, and much more destruction and dismemberment, because, that's important. And then there's the story, with our small glimpses of Polish dark fantasy stacking up well against the Apocalyptica from Edmonton. It remains to be seen which title will eventually win out, but for now we have a firm favorite in Geralt of Rivia. The best indie RPG, we're going to give 2 awards out this year. The first one goes to The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 3. It's a mouthful, but at first glance this upcoming action RPG shares much with others in the hack-and-slash genre. It only takes a few moments, however, to see how Budapest-based Neocore has improved upon the standard mold, such as possibly the most useful companion ever seen in the form of Lady Katarina. Now, those of you who have played the 1 and 2 might be familiar with her, and let's just say she ups the ante in number 3. And while it might not end up there in terms of the Diablo-esque detail, Van Helsing 3 is certainly a surprising achievement for an independent studio. Look out for it when it hits Steam later this year. And the number 2 best indie RPG that we saw at Gamescom was Mordheim: City of the Damned. Independent RPGs are still cropping up a lot lately, and there was more than one great-looking game at this year's Gamescom. Right alongside Van Helsing 3, we found Mordheim: City of the Damned, a turn-based XCOM-style strategy RPG. That sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but it's surprisingly straightforward, with Games Workshop providing both the chaotic fantasy setting — those of you who played the tabletop Mordheim are instantly going to be in love with this game — and of course the combat rule set. It's the longer-term ramifications of battling across a procedurally generated city that have us intrigued. Squad characters can pick up injuries and end up permanently out of action if you're unlucky or careless, which makes tactics much more meaningful. We'll be watching for this to creep into a community-dominated beta later this year. And Best in Show, sure to go ahead and set a few people on fire, goes to World of Warcraft from Blizzard Entertainment. In all the press areas that, are created equal, there really isn't one game that stands out above the others, except by the value of the game they have on display. But out in the public area, it's another story entirely. There was only one king demanding the attentions of the crowds and hundreds of thousands of people in the public area for all of Gamescom. That king was the king of MMOs. 10 years later, World of Warcraft. Of course, with the recent unveiling of Warlords of Draenor, that was all anyone was there to see, and Blizzard knew it. With plenty of playstations for fans and the trailer on loop on a massive screen above everyone's heads, it was impossible not to notice. The sound system vibrated your chest, the statues were amazingly well done, and even if you didn't get in line to play, you still found yourself returning to the WoW booth over and over again. It was beautiful, it was exciting, and it was everything that Gamescom should be when it comes to fans and games. That's it for this year's Gamescom 2014 awards. Tune back in next week for our live report from the show floor of PAX Prime. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and even Google Plus at MMORPG.com without the dot. I'm Bill Murphy. See you guys next week. Oh, yeah, and don't let a bad pug get you down.